Hello guys, this is Nikki, also known as Space Trader, and you're watching the Awesome10X Philippine Market Update. It's February 2, 2021. Let's begin. So we're seeing that the Philippine market is up 53 points, or wait, I need to use my eyeglass. Where's my glasses? Akong mabasa guys, malabo mata ko. My eyes are bad. 6,867 or up 53 points, up 0.78%. So let's take a look at the index today. Loading. All right, so your market value is 10 billion pesos. Just reading the numbers, you've got total advancers, 157 points up. Foreign net selling down, 567 million. Gainers, advancers, got a lot of advancers today. Very few losers. So let's read the index prices for you. Ayala Corp 783, URC 144, AEV 42.5, BDO 105, SETB 133. San Miguel Corp 128, Meralco 285, Robinson's Land 1998, PLDT 1424, JG Summit 65, Aboitiz Power 26, MPI 415, Globe 2046, DMC 536, SM 1006, Jollibee 179.8, ICT 119.5, Bloom 8, AGI 10, Emperador 10, Ali 39, Lucitan Group 13, FGen 30, Meg 386, BPI 83, GDCAP 530, Metrobank 4665, Pure Gold 3775, Robinson's Retail 60 bucks, SM Prime 37. So you can clearly see that the market has recovered except for your supermarkets. Both Pure Gold and Robinson's Retail continue to get sold down with 37.75 and 60. So it's not just necessarily Pure Gold. Even Robinson's Retail has a lot of sellers. They don't like supermarkets. Kind of is a weird thing given that none of these two companies actually are losing money. In fact, from a cash flow perspective, they are even making money. So anyway, yeah. So last night, we actually discussed, yesterday we said that Philippines is actually looking to possibly have an IPO soon with Mondanisin, and people asked me as well about the valuations on Macro Asia and perhaps what they think, what would be good for the Philippines. We actually mentioned that BMW is cheap from a property valuation sense. Let's take a look at the top gainers for the Philippine market stats-wise. Okay, so let's go to the top traded. Top traded, you're seeing that EDA and APL down 11, down 7. So initially it was up, then it was sold down. That is still where people start to be voyeuring their money into a lot of speculative names. Your top 10 is still speculative, ABA, APL, ASEN, Dito, FA. Your BSEI, and then that's top 7. Your top 8 is MM695 today after falling yesterday, and then it's up. So you could see that about 1 billion, 2.5, 3 billion, 3.5, 4 billion, about 5 billion, about 5.2 billion pesos. So the Philippine market is roughly, guys, with a 9 billion peso market value, 5.2 billion or roughly, 10 billion pesos. So roughly half of the Philippine market is actually voyeuring into speculative names. So the Philippine market is heavily not into the index names. You've got like more than 1,000, more than 100,000 people playing speculative names. It's very clear here from the number of trades that this is where the majority of the public's money is into. They're also trading a lot of things like IS. You could see that none of these names are actually, it's really just people buying and selling things. So you are seeing a majority of the Filipinos actually, how should I say this? Speculating. So speculating. All right, so you've got BDO, Jollibee, ICT. Well, speculating is a nice word to say na people in the Philippines are gambling. They're not investing. All right, so BDO, Jollibee, ICT, Ali, GT Cap, URC, PLDT, Mary, MRC, LHC. So lots of money actually, all in the speculative arena. So Philippine market is roughly, if you look at the valuation, 60% of the Philippine market's total value traded is mostly in the tier 4, tier 3 types of companies. So they don't even have a lot to just narratives. Okay, so let's take a look at the commentary. All right, see. Hi, Nikki. Good afternoon. Blue chips on the rise. Technically, some Philippine index are on a bounce. I got some banks, BDO, SECB, and some Dito ASEN. Um, yeah, last night, actually, I saw that the market recovered. You saw actually that some speculative issues, well, it's just really, I'd say that actually you'll see in the majority of the markets, not necessarily in the Philippines, but majority of the markets actually went up last night. You saw that there was a stopping, the noise in GME actually fell last night. So people actually flowed their money to elsewhere because there's a lot of companies in the world, not necessarily just few companies. So it was actually a broader based rally last night in the US. Unfortunately, actually in the Philippines, there's no broad rally here. Let's be clear. You could see that about 70% is 70%, 60% of the volume is just what, 7 names. So I don't think that is called broad-based rally. That's just really a lot of speculative issues being traded by the Philippine market. Will Semi-Rara include renewable energy? They have renewable energy in their portfolio. However, the problem with Semi-Rara is that from a contribution standpoint, a huge position is still contributed by coal, and the world is actually going away from coal for the next 5 to 10 years. Perhaps in the next 15 years, we won't be using coal because carbon is really a huge problem, which is a side effect of coal and fossil fuels. Is Robinson's Retail at $60 a good price to enter? Good. I think it's good. $60 all the way to about 57, not bad. Thank you. Simple insights, please, on follow-on offering. Follow-on offering, you can actually Google search that. But basically, a follow-on offering is like the second, it's a follow-up of an initial public offering. So example, if I do an IPO, that's the initial, that's why it's called initial public offering. Let's say I'm doing an initial public offering of Mondenisin. Mondenisin IPO in the Philippines, Lucky Me wants to sell $1 billion worth of primary shares. So sometimes you actually need to check, is it primary shares or is it secondary shares? Secondary shares means that it was sold by somebody who is they sold the shares before, so it's like a venture capitalist, so that's a secondary share. Primary share means that it's from the owners. Now, it's not true that after an IPO that you can't raise money. In fact, some companies raise further and further. Example, typically, your Ayala Corporation, after their IPO, they had a follow-on offering. So just a couple of years ago, you remember that there was a follow-on offering at about 700 pesos. A company like even the US, Shopify, did a follow-on offering at $700. So a company can raise money. There are many purposes for a follow-on offering. Sometimes the money goes straight to the company, whether it's general, the typical thing that they say is for general corporate purposes, because they feel that they could use their shares to actually finance, let's say they're acquiring something. So Shopify did that. Shopify used some follow-on offerings abroad to actually buy into River Systems, which is one of the ways that they could actually automate their warehouses. So there's a lot of reasons why companies do follow-on offerings. But raising money, there's a lot. There's a follow-on offering that's really just raising money for an acquisition. There's also a follow-on offering because it's just general corporate purposes. So there's no necessary acquisition target. Typically, you want to do a follow-on offering because there's something that you want to do. Example, C Limited did a follow-on offering at about $190. A month later, you saw that C Limited, the owner of Shopee, actually acquired a bank in Indonesia. So typically, if a company is doing a follow-on offering, a good follow-on offering, if you're going to ask me, is you're acquiring something rather than just, it's just general corporate purposes, we're just doing a balance sheet, la, la, la. So those things. I bought IDC because of a dividend play. However, what do you suggest on this type? Stock on dividends play. Are these sell on strength? What can you say about Mary Mart today's charts? Big thanks. IDC and Mary Mart, they typically don't move much on earnings. They move a lot on, you gotta say that IDC and Mary Mart are a lot of companies that are being hyped. So very low float items. So there's a lot of disclosures, there's a lot of bumps. I don't know, it's not a lot about marriage material. These names are usually bought by momentum traders. So it's a momentum type of name. I don't think you can do a fundamental, not necessarily, I'm not saying that companies that are doing momentum does not have fundamentals. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that when a majority of the people who are buying are just buying it for momentum, none of the fundamentals or disclosures or whatsoever actually matter. So how about FA? Same thing, momentum. So momentum on the upside, momentum on the downside, parabolic pop, parabolic drop, da da da. What do you think would be a good entry price for ASEN? To be honest, I think that ASEN is really high. So it's not a company that I would be willing to buy at current levels. But it's a company that I know that some people would not really sell. They're not selling because probably they don't see any point where to put their money into. But the reality is, I think that notice like last couple of weeks, you saw that just recently you saw that Meralco fell to 61 and now it's 285. So sometimes the opportunities might not be as big. I understand that some people they want to get 500% the way that FA did from the lows to the highs, but it's hard to actually make 50% in a short-term manner today if that is the goal. And ASEN has already risen from about less than $2 to as high as $10. Buying it at 6, 7, it's just really trading the range. I don't think that the risk reward is really on your favor. It doesn't mean that it's not a buy. It's just that for some people, they'd rather just find some other opportunities. So it's not something na parang, wow, great recommendation buy. Nope. As an SRO shares were credited today, so well, most of the things like these SRO, it doesn't change the fact that these people are ASEN shareholders, so they're there for the long term. However, in the Philippines, you rarely see people actually trading, investing for the long term. So I don't think that even exists in the Philippines. That's the sad fate of the Philippine market. You don't really see a lot of companies in the Philippine market having a sustainable run because most of the people in the Philippines are not really interested about the company's long-term growth. So you give them a 5-year plan, they don't really matter. Nobody actually understands or even reads about it. So I don't think that Filipinos in general are a crowd for long-term investors. If you're going to buy one stock from laggards in the Philippines, what would it be? Well, in the first place, why would you buy any laggard in the Philippines? But I mean, okay, you can't you have to ask yourself the downside. Is it a permanent loss? If you say, if I bought, example, retail, right? So SM is quite expensive, but you've got your Golden Robinson's retail currently trading at about 37 and currently trading at about $60. So, post with that question, you've got even, okay, you can even argue, oh, the fourth is Mary Mark. No, but at the end of the day, it's not about, for some people, it's not even about making the highest return. It's about, well, what company will I buy even if I don't make 100% return? So here's the reality. I don't think in the Philippines that you'll make 100%. Or even if you do, it's really just waiting a long time, super duper long. And so if you're not there to wait for a long time, you don't really want to. Because the fast money, the liquidity is really abroad. Either way, I really don't have super duper high conviction plans in the Philippines. Liquidity is the real problem. Kasi there's, 5%, 10%, diba? What's that kind of game? The Awesome10X tagline is to invest in disruption, to invest in companies that are innovative, to invest in companies that will improve your portfolio by a 10x manner rather than 10%. But, think about it. Will I make 10x if I bought, let's say, sabihin na natin, mura talaga, BMW. Mura talaga yung mga yan. But can it really 10x your money? Depends. There's no liquidity in the Philippines, right? Okay, pure gold, it's cheap. Good, may cash flows. Will it 10x your money? No. Probably, at most, it goes to $50, $60, right? If you buy it at 36, you probably can sell it at 50 to 60 someday. I don't know when, but it will. So those are the kinds of things. But still, at 36, and I go to 25, even if it goes down there, you know that, well, I'm buying a value company with liquidity. The good thing about index names is that there's always liquidity. Liquidity means my buyer, my seller, my top, nandiyan siya, most active. What's more important minsan is the activity. So it's not, so my criteria is not even about the highest return, the cheapest. It's not. My criteria is, if I put my money, can I exit? Yun yung importante eh. Kasi even if sabi mo sa mag 100% yan, di mo ako maka-exit, di para saan pa yan? Di ba? Easy for some people, maka-exit ka. not necessarily true. Now, if you say, hindi, malit na may pera, kumaka-exit ako, well, hindi ko, I don't know, that's not really my criteria. Parang, it's not about my money is small, my money is large, diba? You have to always think about it, eh. You're scaling into a place na no matter how small you are, you have to think na why would anyone larger than you someday actually enter? Now, open yung logistic companies, it's not in the Philippines. Last mile delivery place are companies like Delivery Hero, Grab IPO. Those are companies that are 10x names. It's not in the Philippines, it's abroad. Grab is gonna get listed abroad. It's not here. So it's not here. All the delivery companies are worldwide. It's not in the Philippines. That's a sad fate. Maybe even if you tell me that Mondanese is gonna go IPO, it's probably gonna be like a URC. If you're gonna ask me, oh, what do you think about the Mondanese IPO? I think it's good. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be like a URC, Universal Robina, right? So you'll make some money on it, kind of like Nissin Cup Noodles, probably make 100% over time, but it's not like 100% in a month or 2 months, unlike what you could see in the USA. Why can you make 100%, 200%? Because you're buying companies that are very cheap. Like you're buying companies that are innovative pa. We just made what, 200, 300% on App Harvest. We bought in on October. Last night was January, from $10 to $35. I'm not here to really diss the Philippines, but you know, it's just I don't see a glaring wow. Like I don't see a glaring wow. I mean, is it wrong for me to give the opinion that I don't see a glaring wow? Now, does it mean that my money in PLDT or Globe will falter? No, but it doesn't. It just means that, well, your money in Globe and Meralco and PLDT and Pure Gold, you'll make 10%, right? Parang BDOs, financials, yeah, you'll make BPI, BDO, you'll make 10, 20%. What the hell do you want? Do you want it to go 100%? It's just not possible. Property, you can make money everywhere. You can make money in Ayala Land and SM Prime. But at 40 and 37, I'd rather not. Like, I'd rather wait for it to go down. Now, if it's not going down, then so be it. That's a problem. The market in the Philippines is capped. You've got a buy low here, you've got a sell high here, and that's it. You don't have a lot of momentum. The momentum in the Philippine market is all about stories, narratives, backdoor here, backdoor there, blah, blah, blah. It's not something that I'm interested with. Sorry. All right, so there. Thank you very much. Nikki tells you, I'm disappointed in the Philippine market, not because of the market itself, but just really lack of opportunities. There's just too many opportunities worldwide. And it's better to actually, for me, invest globally. So just invest globally. Join in our circle, http://awesome10x.com. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.